So, welcome to the Essence of Leadership webinar series. Today, we have Mrs. Somya Qureshi with us. And before we jump in, let me share her bio. Somya is the Director of Marketing at Reynolds American, and she is responsible for the delivery of strategic marketing plans. Her previous roles with RAI included Director of Revenue Growth Management and Director of Brand Marketing, in which she managed brand strategy and development. Samia is a mentor at Winston Starts and has 20 plus years of global experience across multiple industries in the US, Germany, and India. Her responsibilities have spanned brand and product marketing, strategic planning, nonprofit management, and engineering. Samia holds an undergraduate degree in engineering from India and an MBA from Duke University. So, Samia, thank you so much for taking time to come and speak today about your leadership journey. And I'm just excited. So, if it's okay, do you mind if we just dive right into your interview?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be on this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, Samia, you have a wealth of experience. We just went through that bio. So I want to ask you, right? Like when you think about leadership overall, what are some challenges you faced early on as you climbed that ladder to get to where you are now?
Sure. Dimitra, I was not born in this country. I was born in India. So coming to America was one of my dreams come true. And
Mhm.
being able to come here for going to business school, getting my graduate degree, I mean, it just changed the world, the culture that I have been a part of,
Right.
and overcoming those challenges. But getting on to a career that really spoke to me, which I could add meaning to, it took a long while. I have not been in the same company for a long time. I have changed industries, have changed functions, I've been across different countries. A lot of reasons initially was I wasn't born here. I struggled with having work permits to work in this country. So moving through all that, once I had the clearance of working, even then I struggled with finding my place in the corporate sector.
Mhm.
Initially, when I got started, I really struggled with understanding what did I want to do. I had a hard
Right.
time under figuring out what I really wanted to be, right? And then took a break, moved to nonprofit, and that gave me a different dimension of
Right.
leadership and how do you lead people and have that servant leadership mentality. Then I came back to corporate a few years later, and I brought those lessons from the nonprofit sector into the corporate
Right.
sector. I
Right.
think that's when it really started connecting for me some of the dots of working with people, being a mentor, being a mentee, seeking advice, and being able to be comfortable with who I am and asking for help and resources. I think I found my voice once I came back to the corporate. The challenges I have faced is just overcoming odds from different industries, different functions, learning, very steep learning curves, different cultures within organization, different leadership styles, working with different people with diverse like experiences and education. So it has been a lot of challenges, but I can just say how rewarding it has been overall.
Right.
And the diversity that I have acquired from just absorbed through my experience with people, that has really helped me.
Awesome. And I will definitely just agree, not that you need me to, but
Yeah.
just saying when I'm working with a lot of leaders, similar to yourself, a lot of those challenges that you just mentioned, those can be huge hindrances in people's
Mhm.
career as they're trying to climb the corporate ladder, cultivate relationships. And not to mention, you worked in the nonprofit space as well as corporate. they're not the same when it comes to cultures and things of that nature. So, in my opinion, like I said, just speaking from seeing challenges as being that leadership development coach, you being able to do that and still say that you find joy in helping with nonprofits based on a lot of the things that you and I've talked about that you do with your private time. That is amazing. And I'm just so excited that you're here sharing. Another thing I will ask is, how have you handled setbacks or failures along this journey?
Sure. I mean, any time in your career, be it in your professional life or in your personal lives, right? Challenges are imminent.
Mhm.
You will have them, right? No matter which path you took, the challenges you'll find challenging assignments, challenging projects, challenging people, challenging attitudes, right? Challenges are a part of growth. I think initially, early in my career, I really avoided challenges. I just wanted to be liked by everybody. I wanted to be accepted by everybody. Didn't want to have to go through any difficult conversations, did not take good feedback. So all that really kind of like prepared me to understand myself a lot more as I navigated to my, to my corporate career. One of the things I learned is challenges are extremely important for our growth, right?
Mhm.
It's in the challenge when you're stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone, only then do you grow.
Right.
And I didn't realize that till I was given a very tough assignment in COVID, which really amplified the challenges. And I was asked by leadership to step into a challenge and take it on and run with it with very limited resources. So for me to be able to, the first thing I asked them, are you sure you want me to do this, right? I don't
Right.
think I'm ready, right? A part of me was like, I'm not ready for this yet.
Right. Right.
But after that experience and learning, and it was a hard thing too. It was a hard project. I did not, it was not a walk in the park. It was
Mhm.
very hard. And it stretched me beyond my comfort zone in all levels. I had to get better with time management. I had to get better with prioritization. I had to get better with planning. I had to get better with delegation. I had to get better with not knowing everything, right? Those are
Right.
the things as you start becoming a manager or a leader, you start seeing that you will never be everywhere. You will never know everything. Like, how do you build that trust in the team? That became important. So I think after that experience, it was about a year and a half that I worked on a project, and that truly made me see for myself what I was capable of. And from then on, I said, I want the next challenge. Here I am. So any other project that came along or somebody needed help with something, I was the first one to say, I want to do it. And I didn't necessarily know how to do a lot of things I took on, but I had a fundamental belief that was built in me that I could figure things out. And that changed my perspective and how I came to view my career.
Wow. So, Somia, first of all, you mean to tell me all those skill sets don't just innately show up when you
That's right.
become a leader? And
That's
I,
right.
I thought you just wake up with them.
That's
Uh,
right.
and I see so many people struggle with their time management,
Mhm.
the delegation piece, and you hit on it, but I just want to point out something that
Mhm.
you said in that delegation piece in establishing that trust. That is you being able to pass the baton, so to speak, right?
That's
To
right.
empower that next
That's right.
level beneath you, which is so important. And you didn't lose sight of the fact that, yes, I'm delegating and I'm trusting you with, these projects, but I'm taking my strategies and my next level of expertise up to the bird's eye view now, right? I
That's
need to see
right.
where the department is going. And so many leaders, Samia, wrestle with that because they want to continue to be the subject matter expert. And I get it. It's hard to
It's
say, you
hard.
know what? I'm going
Mhm.
to let you do that because you feel like you're not in the loop. What
That's
would
right.
what would you say to someone who's feeling that way right now?
So you have to really get real with yourself, and you have to understand that if you are wanting to grow to the leader, to the capacity of being able to lead teams and lead projects, you have to let go of the small things because you won't be able to hold it all together.
Right.
It's going to cause a complete burnout, a complete, a lack of, you start losing your health, you start losing your sleep, you start losing all this different facets that we all need to deal with, right? So my advice to anybody who's dealing with that is first get comfortable not knowing everything and become very real and open and get it clear that you'll never be the subject matter expert. As you grow up, as you grow in your career, you will never be the subject. I have come to the belief that I'm not smarter than the collective team, right? So letting go of that really, really changed my perspective on everything.
Yeah, that is a big topic in coaching these days
Yep.
because, as you know, with so much change in the industry, there were
Mhm.
people that were independent contributors.
That's right.
And there's a lot of companies going through restructuring and reorgs where those independent contributors are now people managers.
That's right.
And they're like, Demetra, I need to know what's happening. And I'm like, at what cost? Right? Because to
Yeah,
your point, your health, and not to mention your new I'll say requirements for your role. You
right.
have to learn to fulfill those. And as long as you're in the trenches, so to speak, you
That's
can't
right.
clearly show up for what your new
That's right.
demands are.
Absolutely. You can't go on the highway full speed and look strategically about the bigger things that, as a team, as a company, as you lead up, has to see if you're kind of stuck in those trenches, right? If you're trying
Right.
to do the groundwork and, move the gravel and make room, you'll never be able to go on that high speed, like speedway. You have to let go of that.
Right, right. Oh, I got another one for you because just
Yeah.
thoughts that I'm getting from what you're saying, and everything you're saying is awesome for new and emerging leaders, Samia. Like
Mhm.
those I guess I could say students that are transitioning out of college. They're showing up ready for work. And they want to get promoted yesterday, right? They
Yes.
want that leadership role yesterday.
Yes.
What is it that you say to those people?
Yes. Early in my career, I struggled with that too, right? Because I honestly felt like I should have got like 10 promotions within the first 2 years in my career. I was like, what's happening? Where am I losing this thing? I'm doing the work. I know it all. I'm being the person that I am. I think what we all need to remember, right? You need to put in that sets and reps and pick up those experiences, right? We
Right,
all get better with time and
right,
add to our skill sets until you learn the skills that, as you go higher up, the skills that worked at level 1 does not work in level 2. And the
right,
ones that worked in level 2 doesn't work in level 3. So you need to be able to understand how the playing field is set up and learn those skills and master them so that you can blindly teach somebody else what needs to be done. Then you're ready for the next step. Something that one of my old mentor used to say was, if you need that promotion, we know that you're ready for a promotion when you're already doing the job
right,
of that higher level, right? You're already
right,
delivering at that higher level. And when you're not there and you're still in that trenches, you just have to be realistic. And on the other side, you don't want to climb the ladder pretty quickly either,
right,
right? Because then you're shortcutting your own success because it might be a quick growth, but it'll be a quick descent too. And I have seen that, across that has impacted my family, my friends. I've seen it time and time again. You don't want to be promoted too quickly before you learn like some of those key skills, be it tactical skills, be it people skills, be it leadership skills. All those are super important. And having that time and absorbing it and that becoming a part of your skill set, that takes time.
Most definitely. I can tell you how I've spoken with so many, I like to call them new and emerging leaders, right?
Yes, yes.
I've spoken to them and they're like, Coach Demetra, when does the promotion come? Like, I've been here 9 months. I'm like, well, you might need to hone in on those
Yeah,
leadership skills, right? Having those conversations with, I don't, not necessarily senior level management, but people who are in, I'll say managerial roles that are near them to
that's
ask
right.
about, as you said, feedback, learning
Right,
what skill sets they could be honing in on because
right,
they must get the reps in.
right.
But it is so funny. You said, I thought I should have been promoted about 10 times now.
That's right. And I think it's also important that the new and emerging leaders, right, as you said, the feedback, continuously have that conversation with your, line manager or your mentors, but
Right,
also be intentional about it, right? Be
right.
intentional about the gaps that are there and how can you actively work on those and filling those gaps and learning those skills. Have like a very curious, open-minded learning growth mindset, because
Right.
that's important to fill those gaps, right? As you fill those gaps, it's amazing how the universe turns around and starts giving you projects and promotions when you least expect it, because you're busy building your own skill sets and learning how to get better over time.
Absolutely. And I will tell you,
Mhm.
you hit the nail on the head when people scale too fast.
That's
I've
right.
had a lot of them as clients as well. And those are not the most exciting sessions for me because
Mhm.
that's when those people are moving toward a performance improvement plan,
Oh,
right?
yep.
Because to your point, they've been scaling at a rapid pace and you
Mhm.
didn't necessarily grasp all of the skills you need to be
That's right.
successful when you get there.
That's right.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that in hopes that someone who's watching this could take that away and
Mhm.
understand that there's nothing better than getting those reps in, continuing to get the mentoring, the feedback, and use that to build, I like to say, positional influence, maybe, so you can move to that next phase, but properly prepared.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in since we're speaking about new and emerging leaders and people on different levels, what strategies or ideas do you employ to foster better collaboration, right? In this type of work environment, we got people in the office, we got people hybrid, we got a lot of moving parts here, Somya.
Mhm.
So I guess anything you can share in that arena.
I think that's a tough one, Dimitra,
Yeah,
because I can see the split where organization and leadership feels how it should be versus how the workforce feels, right? I
right.
think I think there should be a fine balance, and I can see valid points across both the sides of the aisle. So it's kind of hard to navigate that situation when half your team feels like, yes, I'm so productive in the office, I have
Right.
to be in the seat, I can get things done, be focused, deliver on project, versus those who say, I don't need to get dressed up, I want to stay in my PJs and get my work done, I'm still delivering the same thing. So I think it's a very tough one. What has worked for us within our organization has been a hybrid schedule, and the hybrid schedule, it allows the amount of face time that you're still connecting with your employee, with your peers, with
Right.
your team members, and of course the overall employees. And it gives you that social connection and gives you that value for meaning and a lot of things that in person allows us to do. But also having this hybrid where you get to work from home and it's an optional work from home. People who prefer to still be in the office, they would rather come into the office, right? I think understanding where your workforce are in terms of how they prefer is like super important, but also what has worked for us is the same days that everybody's in the office. That's super helpful. So you know when to have those in-person meetings, and the same days when most of them might be working from home, where you tend to have more of the virtual meetings. So I think we have struck a really good balance at work, and that has worked out for me personally. I can do a lot of things on Thursday, Friday, at home things that I need to. I can walk the dog, get some sunshine during, my lunch hour. So I
Right,
can do a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do on a 5-day week. So for me, it's hard to think about what would a 5-day week look like being in office, right? So it
right.
takes a perspective. This hybrid has spoiled a lot of us. So we need to rethink our working strategies and how does it apply to us. But we just need to be flexible at the end of the
Mhm.
day, right? As leaders, we need to be flexible as employees, and we need to be flexible overall.
Right. And you took my word, Somya, flexibility. I've talked to
Yeah.
leaders at all levels
Mhm.
about this very thing. And I've also had people who were not in, I'll say, leadership roles. And you're right, this is a challenging one with the space that we're in right now.
Right.
And I will say, kudos to you for looking at it from a place of being flexible. I've spoken to leaders who are not flexible, and
Wow.
I've seen their teams begin to fall apart
That's
because
right.
we got different generations of people that
Correct.
we're working with. Sometimes they communicate differently. And to your point, that flexibility feeds into how well the team engages, how well
That's
they
right.
show up for you. I've spoken to so many who are just like, I need you to do it this way. It
Mhm.
has to be like this, and the end result must look this way.
That's
And
right.
I can tell you, there are so many people that I've had sessions with that are just I like to say they're quiet quitting, so to speak. They show up, they do enough to get by, but they are not engaged and they're looking to go elsewhere because of the lack of flexibility. So you hit another key on the head, and I was going to ask you about that, but nevertheless, you already talked about it now. Um, the oh, I'm sorry, you're going to say something else?
No, I just wanted to say, like, how this flexibility issue, right? It impacts culture, right? At the end of
Yeah,
the day, too. Because if everybody, as you say, they start quiet quitting or not being engaged, that impacts how they show up in meetings, how they show up
right,
for each other, right? And that starts that negative spiral of like things that doesn't really help in building a positive, empowered culture, which
right.
impacts the work results, which impacts business results, which has financial implications to it. So I think hitting that chord is like very, very important, knowing where the teams are, how that impacts from a long-term perspective, not just from a very short-term look at it. I think it's important.
Absolutely. And what you're saying is a great segue too. Now that you have those things, right? You know
Mhm.
what's important, you're flexible. How is it, and this is a two-part question. How
Okay.
do you measure your success on me, right? And I mean from a professional standpoint. I know you have your KPIs and things you must deliver, but what are maybe two metrics? I mean, you can list more if you want, but that you can look at the end of Q1 and say, I'm successful. And if you could share maybe one or two from a personal perspective as well as professional.
Sure. So for me, from a professional perspective, right, it's about influencing people around me. And it could be a part of both, it could be like somebody on my team, or it could be somebody from a cross-functional team, right? Having that positive influence and getting
Right.
things done, that is something I take very importantly. So that matters to me, of getting work delivered, done at time, and having that as one of the things that I achieve for the quarter or for the thing. So that is one thing. And I was thinking about what else would be like a professional KPI that I would take to be is mm, having less meetings, probably, right?
Yeah.
I think we have lost this art of just going and finding people, having a conversation. It doesn't everything have to be a meeting. It can still be a hallway conversation, right? How can we connect in ways that they're not necessarily like, it's a human way of connection. And as you might see, I'm more about people oriented, people facing. I'm a people leader. I feel
Mhm.
like I genuinely connect with how people interact better. So that's how I see that, right? That
Right.
would the two things I would see. From a personal level, it's keeping everything in balance, right? There are ebbs and flows. There are times when we have very key deliverables, and there might be some all-nighters or some weekend work, but I try to make sure that doesn't impact my personal, family, my health life, because that's important for me. We talk about how work-life balance is a myth, but work-life harmony is something that works. So whatever you call it, right, work-life balance or harmony, it's very individualistic. What works for me may not work for you. And we need to figure out what needs focus and how do you get there. The second
Right.
one I can say is it's prioritization of things to do, prioritization of your time.
Mhm.
I'm very good at time blocking, getting things done, what's important now, something that you talked about too.
Right.
I'm very, very hyper focused on the big things that needs to get done. Every day I review my list. Every other day I look at my upcoming things that I need to deliver for the week. So that has helped me a lot in getting my attention and my work, getting those done. I don't know, did I answer your question?
You did. And I like how you kind of shared what that looks like because, again, I think people wake up believing I'm a leader now. These
Right,
skills just innately show up and they don't. It shows up,
mhm,
like, as you said, as you put in your reps.
right.
Um, Something else I wanted to ask you was what is it that keeps Samia reading books, looking for
Mhm.
that growth to be that better leader? What is that thing that keeps that fire burning for you?
I think what keeps me going is we when you look, this might sound so woo-woo out there, and you might actually not put this in the video recording, but I do want to say that we have a very limited time on this planet.
Mhm.
Life is very short, right?
Right.
When you think about how long it took for the universe to come together, for the
Right.
planet to happen, for the stars, and how far away we are from the next closest like star, right? Our lives are so short, and I don't want to spend my life not living up to my fullest potential. This short life that I have is for me about the maximum value that I can live up to, the maximum value I can provide to my community, to my friends and family, and have a fun,
Right.
joyous life when I'm here, right?
Right.
All our days are numbered. I'm very, very, what can I say? I'm very intentional about my time. I'm very grateful for everything that I have today, but I'm very, um, just, just want to like live up to my fullest potential, if that like summarizes it.
It does. And Samia, I can't say enough. I can't even ask all the questions because you shared all the answers before I could ask all the questions. And you were hitting the nail on the head. And in my opinion, you are that leader who is history in the making, right?
Oh,
And
thank you.
you're welcome. And I say that because you're constantly striving to be better. You're trying to be flexible. You have an open mind to hearing other ideas and most importantly hearing feedback. And
Mhm,
that's not always something I hear in the
mhm.
leadership development space because some managers believe I have it all together. I don't need
That's
any
right.
feedback. I've been doing this for X amount of years. Well,
Mhm.
every day there's something new that we could learn
That's right.
and I just appreciate you being so intentional with your interview, sharing the insights that you have and giving us some of your time today. So with that, I appreciate you And most of all, I look forward to staying connected with you in the future. And again, just thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this time. I loved this conversation, and I hope I was able to add some value to the listeners, and always open to connect with anybody who needs help. And yeah, I look forward to being in touch.